go.
All right.
That's what I like.
Yeah, grip it, rip it, like we said. Okay, we're live.
Is everything sounding good to you?
Yeah, it sounds
Oh, we're
great.
live?
Man.
Okay.
Yeah, no, you're good. You're good.
That's
You're good.
good.
All right, let's talk about Q of E's. First off, who are you? Let's start with that. Who the heck are you on my live stream today?
You know, I'm a CPA. I'm a quality of earnings specialist. So typically CPAs aren't really seen at all those panels. You know, we're kind of boring, but we're the people behind every deal that analyze the numbers to make sure the deal you're looking at is worth it.
Okay. And CPAs sometimes get the titles like being a stick in the mud. Are you a stick in the mud, or are you anti-stick in the mud?
Absolutely. No.
Oh, you?
No, I know. I mean, you know, like that show Severance, where like you have an innie and an outie. You're like you have your work life and then your home life.
Right.
I mean, when it comes to numbers, I'm just black and white. You know, I don't try to represent the numbers as great or as bad. I just represent them, and like when I'll do sell side QEs as well. So basically, help sellers present the numbers well. And I'll do buy side QEs to help buyers analyze the numbers and decide what the return on investment is. And I find that like when you're defending the numbers, you got to be boring.
Yeah.
Because CPA talk to CPA talk, if I'm being too excited, it's going to make them be like, oh, okay, so what's going on? What are they trying to hide here? So yeah, I mean, I guess I'm a stick in the mud. I don't know. I mean, I do have some personality outside of work. I try to keep my hours under 50, 60 to just have a life outside. But I run ultra marathons, you know. So
wow. Wow.
Yeah.
I have not run an ultra marathon if you combine all my running in my life together. So I'm not even running a marathon, much less an ultra one.
Yeah.
So, that's impressive. That's impressive. Okay, so we've used the term QE. We kind of can nerd out on the buy side, sell side, QE, and all that. But what is it, and what function does it serve? And then we'll talk about buy side, sell side, and kind of get into that.
You know, it means quality of earnings.
And let me just pause there. That should be apparent. Like the quality of the earnings, that should be so obvious. So but as you go on, just keep that in mind if you're listening. Like it should be pretty transparent and easy to say, but I think we will find it's not.
Yeah, so essentially we're looking at how consistent is that revenue? How consistent are those expenses? What are the anomalies? What's going to change to give you an understanding of how repeatable the profits are? Just think repeatable profits or lack thereof, depending on the business you're looking at. Ideally, you're looking at a company with good profits. You know, those are the ones that have the higher quality earnings.
Okay, so sell side Q of E versus buy side Q of E. Let's unpack that, because again, if you're new to M&A, you might not know.
Yeah, so for deals under $5 million in revenue, isn't always going to be a sell side quality of earnings. So sell side quality of earnings is a business owner hires a quality of earnings specialist or a CPA firm to present their numbers for them and to help them remove all the one-time anomalies, expenses, and make the adjustments to earnings for them. And then a broker will use those numbers to put them in the sim to present them out to buyers. And the idea is basically a business with a good sell side QV should get an extra turn or a half a turn because they're presenting trustworthy numbers. And a buyer doesn't want to risk time or money looking at a business with poor numbers. So if there's a sell side QV, they know that someone independent of the sale who makes money regardless if they buy, if it's acquired or not, has looked at the numbers and has analyzed them. I've heard buyers tell me, I put out an LOI on this business because it had a sell side QV. Among the bigger deals between 5 million and 5 billion, there's almost always going to be a sell side QV. Investment bankers always require it. Some brokers are starting to require it, and I've even heard of some lawyers, they will not do legal M&A without a buy side QV. So it's not necessary, like you don't have to do it, but it creates a lot of trust, because like if a deal dies, it's typically going to be because the numbers were overrepresented, their earnings. So those stick in the muds, you know, those CPAs. We can't put more money into your bank, you know, unfortunately. I'd love to be able to do that directly, deposit money into your bank. But like if the business is saying that they make 5 million in EBITDA, But after doing the adjustments, we find 4 million or 4.5 million in EBITDA, then it's a little bit less profitable. And I am very transparent in that my buy side QV and my sell side QV is going to look very similar to each other in terms of what the adjusted EBITDA will be. Some firms, they might be a little bit more optimistic on the sell side or a little bit more pessimistic on the buy side to help their client buy at a better price. That's not how we do it. Our QV is going to be basically the same no matter what. There might be a little different level of scope. Typically, buy side scopes are going to be more detailed because you're risking a lot of money and you might be personally guaranteeing it. So you want to make sure that's right. So buy side QVs tend to be a little bit more detail oriented. There's also an argument that sell side QVs, you have to defend the numbers, so they spend even more time on them. But so the scope can be different, and every QV provider has a different level of what they test and what they look, well, not test, but what they're analyzing in their quality of earnings.
Yeah. Well, and I think the big thing is, first off, if you're a buyer, unless you're spending like $20 on this thing, you probably should get a QV, or some people call them QV light for the smaller deals. But you want to verify what you're actually buying. You want someone to go in there who is kind of the stick in the mud, kind of the nerdy numbers person, who understands how owners might manipulate stuff. They know the questions to ask, how to look at the data, and really bring this out into the light, because you are risking substantial dollars. And as you mentioned, the bigger deals, they all do this. So you mentioned kind of that smaller range. Would you say that's a QV light, or what would you call that for, like, we'll say the smaller SBA size deals?
Yeah, to be completely transparent, I don't offer a QV light. I just lower my price and still do the full QV because I want to analyze everything for someone. And my price is based off of the competition. I try to win the deal, but I also want to give a big enough budget so that my team can spend enough time finding out the true numbers of the business. So yeah, when someone says, just give me a QE light, or why don't we do 3 parts of your QE instead of all 5? I say, well, what risk are you looking to do you want me not uncover for you? It just makes sense to do the full QE. But then also, like, some QE providers will save fees by saying, oh, it's just going to be Excel data book only instead of a PowerPoint, PDF, and Excel data book. And that can be more of a QE light, or so you call it. There isn't an AICPA guidance between what a quality of earnings is. So at the end of the day, I'm probably sounding too nerdy. I'm sorry.
I know, it's okay. I
saw you roll your eyes.
No, I'm over here doing other stuff. Listen, I'm a redneck. I don't get into the nerdy stuff. I'm not smart enough for that. You're here to be smart, and I can play the dumb redneck. It's really easy. It's natural for me. So, it's good. No, I mean, I think part of why I love doing these is because people like you, they go, I'm getting too nerdy. And when we're talking about M&A, I always say it's a high stakes, high risk game. And so you got to understand that this is really a lot of money changing hands. And it sounds like the problem with M&A is what you said earlier. You might get another turn or 2 on your multiple. And we say that because we know what that means, but that actually means $100,000 or $1 million or $5 million. Like, it means a lot of money. It's not another turn or 2, but we use it just to make it shorthand, but it means a lot of money. And so in M&A, all these things can really compound to get you paid or reduce what you're paying by substantial dollars. And so can
you remind me if most of your audience is on the buy side, sell side, and what size deals or industry?
Well, I mean, I work on the sell side. The audience, I mean, like on X, it's gonna be a lot of searchers probably, so probably gonna be buy side. But I think my advice, I'm curious your take on this. My advice for sellers is, the better they understand the buyer, the better they position their business to be sold, right?
Yeah.
And so if you think about your product, like your QOV service, you're trying to understand what your customer wants. Well, when you go to sell your business, the better you understand what buyers are looking for, the better you can understand how to position it. And so so we work with sellers, but I've done with buyers. And I think that not to pick on Cody Sanchez here, but I saw she was going viral this morning for something she said. But I think that people like Cody Sanchez have maybe overstated how easy it is and how safe it is to buy a business and how fast you can buy one. And it's like, well, it's a lot of risk there. It's a lot of risk there. And so stuff like the QOV, then I've seen people go, well, sellers shouldn't get QOV because they're worthless if a seller gets it. It's like, well, if the buyer's going to get one, shouldn't the seller have one as well? So I just think M&A's. Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people. That's a great point. Like a lot of people think, oh, a seller's QOB is meaningless. They're just being very confirmatory, and that's why I stated in the beginning, I want my buy side and sell side QOB to look very similar.
Yeah.
My motto is buy low, sell high with your favorite QOE guy, but that doesn't mean I'm going to misrepresent earnings. I want earnings to be what I truly believe they actually are. And my opinion of that's not going to change if I'm working on the buy side or sell side. I am not tied to the outcome at all. I do care that you sell, but I don't care enough to change my numbers.
I think that's what gets lost here. We say earnings, and it's like, well, okay, if I sell you this basketball for $1, I've earned $1. Well, it's like, well, okay, there's some costs involved, there's some labor, there's some add backs you mentioned. Why is it that earnings aren't as clear as some people might think?
That's a great question. So there's a lot of different types of adjustments to EBITDA. It really depends on the business and the industry. But for example, a lot of business owners will run personal expenses through EBITDA, through their P&L. So those personal expenses, they won't be going forward. They won't be made. Ideally, they won't continue to be made going forward once the new owner acquires it. So typically, you can buy those back. You can add those back if they're supportable and defendable. Sometimes a buyer might be like, "Well, you got credit for it on your taxes, so I'm not going to. You can't take a cake and eat it." So every lender is a little bit different. Some lenders will accept them. Some lenders will say like, "Oh yeah, we get it. We get it that you're just like buying Chick-fil-A for your kids because it was good luck." It's good luck for me. Every time I go to Chick-fil-A, I sign a deal. But I pay through my personal card. Anyways, but then there's also like one-time expenses. So like if you're getting ready to sell your company, you might pay a retainer to a broker, and that money shouldn't really be impacting EBITDA because that's the one-time expense. Sometimes there's like one-time income, like the ERC income, or gain on the sale of asset. So this is money that's going to the business owner that isn't generated from the business that is being sold. So we had to remove those items. Then there's a lot of different types of add backs. There's timing adjustments.
Oh my gosh.
There's I caught a few good ones recently. I saw that. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to ask you because in my experience, talking to owners about getting ready to sell, most of them don't know what EBITDA is. So let's unpack that. And then I'm curious, your stance is I've kind of told them, don't worry about tracking it because the few that have told me their EBITDA, most of the time it's wrong. So I'm just like, it's better for you to get a professional to do it. Don't call me. I'm not going to do it for you, but I can tell you who can. So what is EBITDA? And should owners actually care and track this number?
So EBITDA is earnings. So your net income plus interest expenses minus interest income plus income taxes paid, just income taxes, but both state and federal, plus depreciation expenses plus amortization expenses. So that's EBITDA. Then the adjusted EBITDA is where you start adding back all those anomalies and one-time expenses. And that's where you make a lot more money with the adjusted EBITDA. As long as they're, you can defend.
Right. Well, there were some memes going around a couple years ago.
Oh, I know them.
Yeah, like EBITDA versus adjusted EBITDA. Yeah, exactly.
It's like a McDonald's $1.
Yeah.
Menu versus a Big Mac.
Yeah, exactly. But do you think that owners should track their EBITDA on an annual basis, or is it something that when only they're getting ready to sell? Like, when do you think they should be concerned about this?
I mean, they track it by the balance of their bank. How big is their bank going? So every owner has a good idea, and then they also kind of track it with their taxes. How much do they owe in taxes? The more you pay in taxes, the more you're making.
Yeah.
Generally speaking.
Yeah.
Don't talk to those real estate people.
Well, I think if you're going to track it, obviously, if you're thinking about selling the next 3, 5, 7, 7, maybe a little bit further out, but 3 years, we'll say you need to know what it is now. You need to get that kind of EBITDA, understand what the add backs might be, what might be contested. You got to start thinking through that stuff because if you're in the SBA size range, something you touched on earlier, your tax return is going to be so important. And so if you're writing stuff off as taxes from SBA size range, that's going to be impacting your valuation. And I know the SBA guys say it's not valuation, but let's be honest, it's basically valuation. Okay.
It's
so
almost as if the IRS is penalizing you for not paying your taxes accurately. Terrible.
Yeah.
Come on, Uncle Sam.
Listen,
no,
Jackie,
but you bring up a really good, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just saying Jackie Hirsch I talked to her earlier this year, and she's like, she had someone who wrote off like a boat dock for like $50,000, and it cost them $250,000 on their exit. So they didn't, because they wrote it off, and I think that was number like 5250 or something like that. But it cost them a bunch because it messed them up. So, anyways, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, generally, I could see someone saying, "Hey, look, this is the receipt. This is for a boat. This is not an ongoing expense." And then a buyer can decide whether or not he wants to accept it. That's what I like, or it could be a proposed adjustment, or at least another consideration. It could like that generally can be accepted. It really depends on the buyer and the seller. Some buyers are like, "Nope, you didn't pay taxes for it." So and at the end of the day, I don't negotiate for a buyer or seller. I just say, "Here's my proposed adjustments." It's between you and the seller. And then I don't tell them what multiple in the EBITDA to pay. It's their decision at the end of the day. But you bring up a really good point. Buyers tend to look at valuation based off of multiple from the reported financial statements on an accrual basis. But SBA lenders, they're giving off the loan from their tax statement on a cash basis. So there's kind of this little slight disconnect between who's valuating it, and who's lending on it. And then an SBA lender, they care about cash flow. So just because a business is fundable doesn't mean it's worth it. If I'm bringing 40% down, a lender is going to be so much more happy about lending to me. And it's like, let's just imagine, this would be great. I have a $3 million house with a giant pool. They're going to want to lend to me because of my personal guarantee. There's no risk to them at all. I mean, there's a little risk, not much. Whereas if I had no hard assets and was only going to pay 10%, then they're going to be like, oh, it's much more riskier deal for them. They view it as cash flow to them. Whereas I care about the business that's being bought, how repeatable those profits are, what are the adjusted earnings. I don't really care about the financing. They're both important. Like without a loan, you can't buy the company, but also without the adjusted EBITDA, you can't decide whether it's valued at.
What are some of the things that people have disputed about adjusted EBITDA that you're like, guys, this really shouldn't be that big of a deal, but it turned out to be one?
I mean, ideally, the big ones that really make sense, but sometimes I've seen brokers add back distributions. So what that is, distributions is you're taking money from your bank account to yourself. It's basically they wanted to add that back, but you can't add that back because it never hit the P&L. All adjustments that you're taking away from the P&L have to have hit the P&L in the first place. If it's just hitting the balance sheet, you can never add it back. So some companies will run their personal expenses through the balance sheet distributions, and it's never hit the P&L, and then they'll try to add it back. You can't add it back twice. That is one where there's some education that has to happen sometimes. I'll do adjustments based off of like common sizing sometimes. If I see that this type of repair hasn't been made in a while, or like repairs are really down. Historically, they're at 3%, but this year they're at 1%. I'll tell the buyer, like, hey, I think that the business owner is just delaying all these things that have to happen going forward. And they're going to slap you with that liability, essentially. So repairs should historically be the same. Margins for a business, for almost every account type, for variable expenses should remain the same unless there's a reason not to. So yes, I will ask the owner what's going on. Why are repairs so much lower than normal? And they say, oh, well, the equipment I bought was really new 2 years ago. Boom, that gives me comfort over those numbers. Repairs should be lower. Or if insurance isn't going up when the amount of employees are going up or revenue is going up, then I'll ask, are you guys underinsured? When was the last time you had an insurance study? Um, and that's sometimes I've caught some big things with that, and it's just very important to analyze things both on what's happened and maybe on what they should have been spending on, but they haven't been spending on, because your mindset changes when you're going to buy a company. Marketing expenses. Everyone wants to add back marketing expenses because it leads to nowhere, so they say. But marketing expense is a legitimate business expense that sometimes goes bad. Or bad hires. I've had people try to add back bad hires. I rarely accept that one because having a bad hire is part of business. At
Well,
QOE Prep, if you're looking to be hired, I've never had a bad hire.
yeah, right, exactly.
A little commercial for me. If you want to work with a stick in the mud.
I want to go back to insurance, because that's something that I've been hearing a lot about lately from owners, is the cost of insurance, and from insurance people I've been talking to as well. Like, they're struggling to understand how to navigate some of these prices that they're seeing. You mentioned being underassured. So let's just start with that. Do you identify if someone has the right amount of insurance or not, if you're working for the buyer or the seller? Do you let them know? Or
so typically, I mean, if it looks a lot lower than normal based off of the common size, so based off of percentage of sales, I'll ask the seller about it. What's going on? When was the last time you got evaluated on this? And then they'll give me a response, and I'll either have a negative add back or a won't. But then I'll also tell the buyer, hey, go get a free insurance study. See what they're going to charge you going forward after they closed. Here's the amount of employees. Here's the payroll. Here's the amount of revenue. See what they're going to charge you for this industry. And if it comes up a lot higher than what the company has been paying, then we know that that's another negative add back. And then also with like this plays into legal, like with like the purchase agreement, like who's going to pay for the tail insurance, and insurance is not my area of expertise by any means, but I just know that it's a common business expense that needs to be made, and the risk of being underinsured is that if something bad happens, they're not going to be totally covered.
Well, it's a thing to where I wonder how many owners are, understandably so, not getting all the insurance they could, because insurance agents can sell you stuff all day long.
Oh, yeah.
They've always got a policy. No, I love you, insurance agents, but I'm just saying there's always a policy out there for owners, and so they're not fully insured. And then they go to sell, and then someone like you comes in representing the buyer and goes, "Yeah, you don't have enough insurance," and it causes an issue. And to your point about,
yeah, and this is a pretty rare finding, I just must say, but I have found it before, and yeah.
Well, based upon what I'm hearing, I'm wondering if it's something that you'll find a lot more, because I'm hearing a lot of complaints about insurance prices right now. So I'm curious if it's something that you will hear more about in the future.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it. I mean, this is great. If you are an insurance broker, start offering free insurance analysis for these buyers acquiring businesses. You can make a lot of money doing that.
Oh, I bet.
A lot of money doing that. You get a new client. It might be a long sales cycle, but one, you're helping them get comfort over what they're buying. But it's the same thing with leases. The current lease, once the business gets sold, like it might change. If it's an asset purchase, that's all between the landlord and the new buyer. Like, it doesn't really matter how long the lease was. A business owner, the real estate owner, his lease was with that current business owner. If it sells, he could change it. It's a negotiation within a negotiation that the business owner, if he doesn't own the property, is not privy to. It's not his call. I've had deals die because the lease was going to go up by $50,000, and it was a smaller business, so it just didn't check out anymore.
Okay, what is the wildest thing that people have agreed to for an add back that you thought there's no way they're going to, but they've agreed to it?
Yeah, I don't do wild add backs. I just want them. Yeah, I'm
sticking them up.
Sticking them up. No, I'm not trying to. Yeah, I know the buy low, sell high with the favorite QE guy might make you think, oh, I'm trying to like pull one over you. But based on my experience, if I have 5 good add backs that are solid, my QV report is going to be seen as good. It's going to get more buyers looking at this business, which allows the broker to have a competitive process. So here's an interesting thing. This is cool. I think it's very cool. Some people hate it, I'm sure. But on the sell side, some brokers and investment bankers are literally skipping the LOI and saying, hey, buyer, you pay for your due diligence ahead of time, and then come up with your price of what you want to pay, the purchase agreement, and then we're going to go. And sellers get to do what they want now because it's a seller's market. I mean, it used to be a seller's market, but now it's really a seller's market. Got that from Jackie Hirsch. 2 weeks ago, no matter.
Yeah. Okay. So hold on. What you're saying is, I have a company, my M&A advisor, my broker, whatever, goes out to buyers and then tells the buyers that they have to do a QOV before they can put an offer in?
Yeah, before you can put a realistic, a legitimate offer in it, and you say it's not exclusive because we're going to move fast and we're going to sell within a few months, and I've seen that work great for sellers. On the buyer side, if I'm working with the buyer, I'm like, oh, try to get some exclusivity.
But that's got to be for the SBA size deals, not for the
yeah. So I've seen, I know I've seen this happen on $100 million deals.
Really?
On bigger deals. Yeah, it's not just the small ones. Great for the QV world,
Yeah.
QVs for a deal.
I'm not selling my own book, but I'm just saying.
Yeah. And then another thing with buyers, like sometimes like the best offer isn't the one that gets accepted. It's the one that's most likely to close with the less, like, I don't know, fancy stuff. So like shorter LOI, a seller loves that. And that's why I push my team very, very hard to get the QV done in 2 weeks. Because if the QV passes, the deal typically will go through as long as the relationship doesn't mess up and nothing huge and legal. Those lawyers, they could redline anything and make it work out. And get the buyers and sellers to agree to something. But the QV, like I mentioned before, I can't put more money in the bank.
Well, I want to talk to you offline about these bigger deals that have done these QOVs first. I haven't seen that. I can get it. I can see it for, especially the SBA size market, because there's so
I've seen it on the SBA size too.
Yeah, I can see that because there's the QOV light or whatever. I know you don't QOV light, but the QOV, there's hundreds of buyers for all these SBA deals. If you're like Jackie, you're well established, and so I can see her deals makes a lot of sense. The bigger deals, there's definitely a lot of buyers. There's more than you would think. I'm wondering because the PE groups, I'm just thinking to this live, the PE groups, they're going to do a QOV anyways. So
so you get a good sell side QOV, and then all those buyers, they're working off of the sell side QOV. So like those QV teams are basically just reviewing the sell side QV. They'll make their extra request, get comfortable or the numbers, and then present the numbers to their buyer.
And how much does that shorten the period by if they go this route?
You think about it, you have 6 to 10 people looking at one deal. It makes people more likely to leave because they know that they're not exclusive. So they'll leave a little bit quicker, but they're still like it's hard for a buyer to renegotiate. But the flip side is if you're doing it this way, you have to get your seller prepared. It is none of this like, oh yeah, we'll get back to you in a week or so. Like you have to be on point, and no one on your team is going to sleep if you're selling it this way.
Well, I mean, I talked to
it's just five times as many inquiries.
Right. Well, I talked to a buyer the other day, a PE buyer, and not for their platforms, for their tuck-ins, they close in 45 days if it's ready. To your point about it being ready, if it's ready. Yeah. And so, I was like, man, I wonder how many of these companies are ready to close in 45 days. They would love it. The owner would love to get the check for 15, 20 million in 45 days. Who wouldn't send me that money? I'm ready, but they're not ready, to your point. And this, I think, just to pause here for a second. This is oddly enough the weirdest spot about our side of the table. And I try to tell owners this when I talk to them. What we're all saying, yes, we want you to hire us to do something. We can't deny that. But we're just telling you it's what you should do. Like, it's not like we're selling snake oil to rub on your forehead. It's going to cure cancer. Like, it's actually what you should do. So your point about being prepared, and getting ready to sell. Like, it's not some thing. Now, the smaller your business is, the more important this becomes, because the harder it is to get those deals done. If you're doing 52 million in revenue a year, you can have some things that aren't perfect because there's a lot of room to negotiate there. But a lot of owners don't take it seriously, and they wait too long to get ready. And so the QV comes in. It's like, oh, what about this? What about this thing? Or systems operate. There's all kinds of stuff. And so I don't know how you help owners understand that. It's something that
I tell it's pretty simple. It's like you say like, hey, look, at the end of the day, you might be overrepresenting your earnings. A buyer's going to see that, and they're not going to chop it down to what they think it's worth. They're going to chop it a little bit lower because they don't trust you as much. Instead of chopping down 20%, they're going to chop it down by 30%. Or worse, and this happens, you're underrepresenting your earnings and you're leaving money on the table. And the buyer's going to do the QV, and the buyer's QV is going to go to their client. It's not going to go to you.
Yep.
They might just buy it without negotiating because they know that they're getting a good deal.
Yeah.
And that's what you never want a business owner to do, to think, oh, what if I sold for more? Could I sold for a little bit more? And people think about that. They don't think about it. Like a small business owner doesn't think about it when they're getting the $3 million check. Oh, but once after they pay taxes, then they're like, oh man, how much is left? They're like, I should have sold for more, or like you're golfing, you're golfing, like, yeah, I sold for this much, but my business made this much money. I sold for a little bit more. So you want to get everything prepared and cleaned up. And I mean, if you're a clean business, you can demand a shorter LOI time because everything's there. All the data's there. I mean, like, and I mean, they're there, like in Excel, on the monthly spread, on the monthly basis. Not that those PDFs that are scanned there. That does not count. If you want to sell for more, upload everything in Excel, not PDFs.
Oh, exactly. Well, and you touched on a second ago. You said you hurt the trust, and M&A is such a trust business. And so, to your point, if they find something, instead of knocking off this, they might knock off a little bit less, just because they might be frustrated, but they also might go, maybe what they're telling us about something not even related to the numbers is not true. And we just want to put a little bit more protection in there. And you are asking for millions and millions of dollars on these deals. So trust is so important. But if they find out that they could write you a check for 20, but you only want 15, they're happy you told them that's all you want is 15, but they're not going to say, hey, we're going to write you a check for $5 million extra. Like, that's just not going to happen. It's just not.
Yeah. I've never seen someone adjust their price up.
Right.
Even if like the period over period is going up, or if there's some add back that the sellers didn't find that I was able to find.
Yeah. The only time I've seen that is at the start, like when they're all trying to put their LOIs in, they're all kind of bidding. You cut it down, you kind of bid it up, but then they're going to try to knock that number down as much as possible.
Yeah, I would say once the LOI gets accepted, it doesn't get changed.
Which, to your point, though, having the QOV before you accept the LOIs kind of helps hedge against that, because you can say, guys, listen, you can go as high as you want, but just understand, we have the QOV here.
Yeah, so you mentioned you're a sell side broker, right? That's what you do.
Yeah.
Like, you can be excited, you can pump up the deal as much as you want. I can't do that. I just be like, these are the numbers.
Yeah.
And that's what people expect out of CPAs. I noticed this when I had pneumonia in May and June when I happened to run the ultra marathon. Put that down.
So hold on. You've not only done something more than I've done my entire life. You did it with pneumonia. Okay, I might boot you from the live stream. This is crazy.
All right, yeah. So I noticed that like I make more sales when I'm boring and just factual, but when I'm like very excited and like more than a stick in the mud, people start to question me like, oh, does he really know his numbers? So like if I'm on these defense calls, I'm boring. If I'm on a call with you answering questions, I don't hype anything up. I just say the numbers. I just try to be very transparent.
Well, I think you're spot on there, because what I've learned with clients or prospects or whatever is, first off, I tell them I'd rather not have a client than an unhappy one. And that's not me lying. That's just me being serious, because unhappy clients are so hard to deal with. And
Oh yeah, yeah.
sometimes they're right to be unhappy with you, but it's like some just come and they're just a pain and a problem. Don't want those.
Mhm.
If I mess up, I got to deal with that. I get that, and I'm not perfect, so that happens.
Mhm.
But also, to your point about transparency, like I've gotten to where I'll just tell people, this is the strong suits. This is what we can do. This we can't do. If you need this, go over here. And it's weird because it is being transparent. I'd much rather tell you up front, but also I've just learned that that's what people like. Like it
Mhm.
makes the sales process so much easier. And it's like
Yeah.
you can be transparent about it, because I'd rather tell you we're good at this, but we're not good at this. And if you need that, go somewhere else. Because going back to point one,
Mhm.
I'd rather not have a client than an unhappy one. And that's, so
Yeah.
I'd rather tell you. And so it's, you're right. It's true. And so when you boil it down to selling your company, transparency is the same thing. That's what you're doing, right? This is what we
Yeah.
have. Here's all of our greatness. Here's all of our glory. Here's some of our warts. We've got some of the skeletons in the closet we've got to fix. But at the end of the day, here's the company. People appreciate that. If your company is perfect and there's nothing wrong with it, that's when they're going to be like, okay, there's going to be something wrong. Something has to
Right.
have gone
Right.
wrong. Unless it's like a startup that's 6 months old, like OpenClaw, and going to $1 billion. It's
Mhm.
gonna, something's wrong with it. So I love your point on transparency there. Why do you think that we've kind of lost that as society about being transparent?
Oh, I think it's because people have had six. Well, people used to never do QEs before.
No, yeah,
It used to be just off of revenue, but also it's because I think people are just hoping for. They've seen sellers have been able to successfully, like I don't know, pull fast one over the buyer's eyes. And your job is you kind of like rely on what they give you, and then you present it to the buyers, and the best one wins. So you can rely on what sellers give you. But buyers are for better or worse getting a lot smarter. I think that's good for this industry. There's a lot more education on it. So now it's harder to sell a company and like not be transparent, you
yeah,
know.
yeah,
And then
We're-
and then here's another big reason.
yeah,
2025 was a hard year to sell a company.
yeah.
The reason why was interest rates are still high, and the year to date for a lot of small businesses under 20, and this is no study. It's just, I mean, I did 80 deals in the last year and a half, but a lot of small businesses were doing worse in 2025 than they were doing in 2024.
hmm
When that happens, a lender is less likely to want to lend on it.
Yeah, yeah. So where do you think the future of M&A is going to be in the next 3-5 years?
On what size?
Well,
What size?
you can do
What
SBA because people
industry?
care about that,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
do above the SBA, but I don't care. You pick.
Um, I think so. I kind of compare it to like cryptocurrency. I don't know, and that's a little bit cryptocurrency outside of Bitcoin. And I don't own any of it, but
Yeah,
like cryptocurrency outside of Bitcoin
yeah.
and the whole, what was that thing where you bought a little image? What was that
Oh,
called?
the NFT thing. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
all
Like the
that
board
stuff.
apes and stuff.
Yeah, I put that in the same box. That was kind of the height was 23, 24, and then it started coming down.
Yeah,
Um, M&A is always going to be a thing. However, it never was to the point to where I'd be talking to some of my friends from college, and like their spouse was like, "Yeah, I want to buy a laundromat." I'm like, "Why do you want to buy a laundromat?" Oh,
yeah,
I saw it on LinkedIn. It looked like. I think it's going to be at a point to where that is going to start going away. But as far as the XPE, the X M&A people in the cities that are in this world, that's going to keep picking up because people do want to. I mean, I think it's in our nature to want to be business owners
yeah,
rather than employees, and
yeah,
that's going to start picking up. And with AI, a lot of employees are losing their jobs. They're really, really smart, so
yep,
they want to just own something that they can't lose that job on,
yep,
their job on. Then, as far as SBA lending, here's the thing: M&A is picking up. There's more and more buyers, but lenders are getting more and more cautious
mm-hmm,
because some of these buyers aren't the most qualified. There
mm-hmm,
could be a great business, a great lender, but the buyer could be good at owning and operating, but he might not be good at sales.
yeah,
I'm horrible at sales. It took me 4 months to get my first sale,
mm-hmm,
and then I got 7 that month. But now I literally get 90% of my sales from like warm introductions
Yeah.
from a lawyer who's used me in the past,
Yeah.
a client who used me in the past, an investment banker who knows that I'm really good at defending sell side QEs. I used to be more buy side. Now I'm more sell side. I think the name QOE prep makes everyone think that I'm sell side because I prepare the QOE for the sell side.
Right.
But I love both sides of it. You know, it's the same thing to me. But yeah, as far so lenders are getting more cautious, and the SBA loan used to be to help all Americans be able to get a loan to buy a business, but with all their new regulations, they're wanting to see you have more money. So it's like, yeah, it helps all Americans as long as you have 500K liquid cash in a big house that we can. There's a personal guarantee, and by the nature of competition, everyone's going to go with a less riskier person. So you're more likely to sell to a past business owner who has had success because you know that they're going to close. A lender is way more likely to sell to someone with a 750 or 800 credit score and a lot of personal assets because they want to lower their risk. And when there's such a seller's market, because there's so many buyers, it makes it a lot harder than, like, I don't know, 3 years ago, where like you could buy this company without as much competition. But now another thing that's happening is private equity, and you can stop me when you want. But
no, you're good.
I can nerd out. Another thing is private equity is going downhill, and they're paying even higher multiples. They're paying multiples that an SBA loan will never work.
Never.
So like if private equity is paying 5x, which is pretty low for like a small business under $1 million EBITDA, that typically will not work with a 10%. 10% sellers no, 10% of buyers down. Oh, thanks for putting that QEprep.com. At 5x, it's really hard for the DSCR to work out. You know, it's really hard for lenders to feel comfortable in that. So that's making it a challenge. So there's this whole new thing called, what's it called? I don't do it. Proprietary search. You find your own business. And that, I feel so bad for business owners that sell without representation, because there's people out there like you who help business owners get a higher turn when they sell. You know, that's so important. And you have someone, you know, you really do protect the business owner, and you help them answer the questions in the right way. But I see business owners selling to buyers from proprietary search, and they're not getting what they're really worth, because they're like, oh yeah, I'll skip the broker fee. But that fee is that high for a reason. You know, you earn it.
It's tough. I mean, I get it. You know, I used to do. I had like 70 domains, and so I was sending cold emails to owners all the time about selling their business.
Can you sell me QOE.com? I tried to buy that domain, but the guy wanted $1 million.
Well, I'll broker it for you.
Go ahead.
I was thinking, like, and so I would talk to all these owners about selling their business, and I was working for searchers or for advisors or for whatever. And so, you know, I think what owners have to understand, or at least, they have to understand whether they do it or not. It's a different story. You get an offer to buy your business for $1 million, $5 million, $10 million, $20 million. It doesn't matter. That's just one offer. In M&A,
don't take it. Write it down. Go
I mean, okay. It could be that that's the best offer you'll ever get. It could be. But until you go to market to find out, you don't know. And so, like, what we've tried to do is we'll say, hey, if you call us, Caleb, and you got an offer, we'll exclude that offer. So if that is the best offer, you keep it. You don't pay us a dime, right? Yeah. But then we're going to go to market to see, because it might be 20 million, but it's only 12 million cash at close with $8 million earnout. Well, that's not the same as an $18 million cash at close with a $2 million earnout. I've got an earnout. I just found out last night. It's probably going to arbitration for a deal we're working on. So, like, earnouts are very risky. I'm not saying you shouldn't take them, but the earnout's got to be that extra. It's that cherry on top. Like, you got what you wanted out of the cash at close. The earnout's extra. I'm not saying you give it up, you lose it. I'm just saying it's just risky. And so, so
especially if it's off of profit and not off of revenue.
Yeah. Well, in this case, what's happened is the buyer went and bought some other companies, or I don't know if it's one or more than one, but one company at least. And so he's trying to argue that the numbers aren't the same because he bought this other company, and so the numbers look different. And it's like, well, that's not really what we were talking about. And so, anyways, but yes, the fun of earnouts. So yeah, that's what we try to do. But this is not Zillow. There is no magical database where you can go in there and say, hey, the house across the street sold for 400,000. It's the same stuff. Yours is for. It's not how it works. And each industry has its own things that are unique. And so,
yeah. And to that point, every homeowner knows what their house is worth within 5% plus or minus. Like you know what it is right now. Go on Zillow. It's going to be close to that. But that is also a hard asset. If you don't pay it, the bank won't lose anything. Who cares? But for businesses that are basically like a service industry or anything that doesn't have a lot of hard assets, EBITDA matters. EBITDA always matters. But it matters even more when you can't repossess those businesses from a lender's perspective.
Awesome. Okay. Got the website here. I'll drop your LinkedIn. Are you on X? I can't remember. Or just LinkedIn?
I'm not. I can say my email. Is that helpful?
You can put whatever you want. I was just going to put in the chat for anybody. So it puts links out there for you.
It's just Caleb, CALEB @QOEprep.com. Send an email. Let's schedule a call. I would love to meet you guys and see where you're at on your acquisition journey or business selling journey.
And I owe you a call with our side because we need to get you in front of our group for doing some QOVs for some of our deals. So
sounds good.
Awesome. That. All right, Caleb, it was great. Love chatting with you. You're not a true stick in the mud. You have elevated, even though you threw some humble brags like I ran an ultra marathon with pneumonia. I closed 7 clients in a month. Like, listen, I'm the king of humble brags, so I love it. I absolutely love it, but I just had to throw that out.
Yeah. Well, my wife told me to stop selling so much. So I used to go up and I was bragging. She's like, "Oh, good job, you got one." Now she's like, "Stop, raise the prices." I'm like,
yeah. The wives love it when you start out, but as time goes on, they're like, "Okay, I've heard enough." So
yeah.
Awesome, brother. Thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you.